You have disrespected the crypt and the lifting dead army.
Yeah. Nope. I'm out. Licked his own blood. Oh my god. Not only do you have to be psychopathic, but it is so unsanitary.
What's up, everybody? Time to enter the dragon's crypt. Because phase one is all about Bruce Lee, one of my very favorite and inspirational fitness icons, heroes, beyond fitness, everything. You know how much we love Bruce Lee. We talk about Bruce Lee all the time, so if you're not on board the Bruce Lee train, it's time you jump on it, because phase one and Goth Wick goes over the foundation of Bruce Lee's training principles. So for phase one, we took it back to the beginning, back to the OGs, back to the Shaolin Temple, and I observed Bruce Lee's training. Do I have the book here? So through some research, didn't even plan that shit, then the Art of Expressing the Human Body by Bruce Lee. As you can see, I took some notes, looked at his training, and put together a nice beginner's kind of routine based on all he did. The good thing about his training is that you don't really need a whole lot. Back when he was doing it, he had like maybe a circuit trainer, but he primarily used free weights and just body weight movement. And we formulated a program based on his ideologies and his training methods for phase one to lay the groundwork. And a very key part of what Bruce Lee did to develop his athleticism and martial arts ability is use isometrics. And isometrics have been talked about in many different respects, how Bruce Lee used them, all the power he could produce. He used isometrics, he used his body weight and immovable forces. It increases neural activation, which increases motor unit production in your muscles. The more motor units you have, the more power you're able to generate. So Bruce Lee, being a 100-pound dude, could generate an insane amount of power, and that's largely attributed to his isometric training that everybody can do, that you need nothing for. So that's why we focus on that in the Goth Wick training program in all phases, but especially in phase one when we're more concerned about Bruce Lee specific training. So that is some isometrics, and we're going to run through a few examples. So a press or a punch bent armed or straight armed against a wall, a squat against a wall, a pull up or a rope tear, you're like trying to bend a bar. Any fancy gymnastics exercise we get into, like planks, planches, front levers, handstands, any sort of hold, that's all isometrically contracting our core. And any movement against a force is going to be like an anti-rotation movement for the core. Posing, even just flexing your muscles, squeezing like a bodybuilder, how they pose, that's isometrically training their motor units and their muscles to increase power and maintain that form and size. So we're gonna be flexing on them literally in this program. So that is isometrics. So now that you know that, we can get into a little bit more specifically some sort of Bruce Lee training methods. What we're gonna use for shadow boxing is Jeet Kune Do. Now, Jeet Kune Do is Bruce Lee's own martial art. So again, we're in phase one. We're focusing on the GOAT, Bruce Lee. So he took what he learned in all different styles of martial arts and put them together and made it his own. And that's all we do here. That's all I want to do with this program for you, is take things that I've learned from other people and from other schools and from other training methods and boil it all down and deliver it to you in a way that I think is best with my own spin on it. So Bruce Lee did that and it made Jeet Kune Do, so I figured we would honor that and check out what Jeet Kune Do stances are, some shadow boxing, and it's very applicable and useful and easy for everybody, no matter where you're coming from, whether you've never shadow boxed before, whether you train traditional American boxing or Muay Thai, or you're like judo or anything like that. Jeet Kune Do is really kind of like a glue that can hold it all together, and I think it's going to be really fun for everybody to do. So we're going to try some Jeet Kune Do. So what Bruce Lee says is, absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own. And then you make that. That's what he did. That's what we do for you. And furthermore, since we're not there with you through this program, this is a guide. So you do that same thing with the information we give you. If there's stuff that doesn't work for you, throw it away. If there's stuff you really like, keep that. If there's stuff you know you can do better or that works better for you, add what is uniquely your own. And that's how you make this a personalized training program or make anything work for you. So let's get into some shadow boxing. On guard. We'll let you try my Wu-Tang style. Do you think your Shaolin sword can defeat me? The intro to Bring the Ruckus mentions the on guard position, and that's the Jeet Kune Do based position. So Bruce Lee developed this, again, as I have stated, a mixture of all kinds of martial arts into one. So I think this is a really good setup. So I'm a left-hander. You got to figure out if you're a right-hander or a left-hand power puncher. So what's going to happen is left hand or power hand stays in the back. This is a traditional Western boxing setup, right? So your power leg and power arm are in the back, fist by your chin. What is different in Jeet Kune Do is your front hand, front palm stays open, and you're kind of turned a little bit to the side like this. So that's kind of concealing your body instead of leaving your body open, right? So you're going to be nice and primed for defense. And what's good about the on guard position, or at least what the idea is behind the on guard position, is the position is a reflection of Bruce Lee's mental attitude, right? Is you kind of want to be ready for anything, and this is a good, it's good for defense, but it also primes you for good offense. And having this, your hand here, the ability to defend, but also kind of distract, conceal, and you don't know, your next move, especially when you're shifting your weight around. I'm not the prime example of a shadow boxer or a Bruce Lee student, but the idea is to always be light on our feet, shifting the weight back and forth, and just kind of having this free flow form mentality, but also rigid and powerful in your striking, and you're balancing through that at the same time, right? So that's what I mean by the pose is a reflection of his ideology and the way he conducted himself, right? So he really put that into that. So this is the basic thing, is that stance. So feel free to switch your stance, switch your jabs up, throw some crosses, elbows, knees, front kicks, got your side kicks, your roundhouse kicks. Everything we've learned in our crypt combat Muay Thai classes can apply here, just with a little bit of a different stance. Again, or if you're a trained Western style boxer, you can do that too. But we just want to incorporate some different stuff. So that's the base. This is the position. And then from there, we build off the position and off the base for our Jeet Kune Do on guard style, Wu-Tang. So setting up our on guard position, we covered the ethos of the position. We've covered the base. Now it's talking specifically about our legs and our footwork. As with any other martial art or painful dance, as they call it, we are shifting weight left to right or back and forth constantly. And it's about that balance between pushing and pulling. And it's also counterintuitive, especially if you're new to martial arts or new to boxing. If we want to move forward, we don't step and pull ourselves forward. We spring off the back foot to come forward. And to come back, you spring off the front foot to come back. To come to the right, you spring off the left. To go to the left, you spring off the right. And you are constantly balancing between that, making especially a Jeet Kune Do, when there's a lot of footwork and a lot of movement involved, it becomes really, if we don't have our footwork down or our stance down, nothing else is going to matter. So that's why we take time to develop agility, which we'll do soon in our workouts, to help you with this, because this can be difficult if we're not used to it. And it's a mental game, training your body to kind of do the reverse of what you want to do, and also to make that faster and fluid and sync that up with any striking or kicks you may do. Another thing when we're defending, so if we're like, say, I want to block, my feet are closer together. I have like a narrow stance, so this conceals my body. Again, leaning into that poker body that we mentioned earlier. So that's like concealing our body so you don't know my next move. You know, you can do anything from this position versus when you're open, you know, it's easier to see where you're gonna shift. So on the defense, you bring in your feet a little tighter and you can kind of guard yourself, or you can, you know, block against others with your hands or your forearms. Now when we're attacking, we're square, right? So think like an animal, right? Like a wolf or something. When it wants to attack, you know, it squares up, right? It gets lower and it gets its limbs out. That's what we want to do too, right? So if we think about narrow defending, but when we're attacking, you know, I have that wider stance in my base, so I can put my hips into it and throw a powerful combination, right? And it's just balancing between that. No one's going to be perfect. No one's hopefully getting into any real fights. We're just doing this for technique and balance. It's more like a yoga practice than anything. And experiment, and feel free to be goofy and have fun too. So why we do this whole shadow boxing thing is, yes, it's good cardio. Yes, it's good to build our endurance and maybe some strength and coordination, balance. But it's just a sophisticated method for developing movement and fluidity and coordination within the body. Kinetic linking, if you want to get more scientific about it. And that's like generating force from the ground, up through the hips, out through the limbs, and just moving the body in a fluid way, almost like we're dancing. And we can get silly. It's not like you have to be a title holder, competitive shadow boxer to enjoy shadow boxing or reap the benefits of it, especially if we're talking about Bruce Lee. He learned and did so much that he put his methods and his philosophy into movement. So think about your philosophy going into movement. We want to move powerfully, but we want to also move gracefully and balanced in everything we do in life. So that is what Goth Wick really is about. And that's what shadow boxing, as well as building the physical coordination, endurance, in work capacity, can bring you. So it's not just like we're throwing our fists around being silly all the time. There's meaning behind all we do, and especially when we do it in this Jeet Kune Do yoga kind of mindset. So that's something I want you to keep in mind while you're doing this. And also don't take it too seriously. Have fun. Yeah!